Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Anthony, and welcome back to Let Me Be Frank. This is episode 46, and unfortunately, the last Phone a Friend segment of season 3, which is sad. But at the end of seasons, I like to do something a little different, switch it up. And for people who are watching, you see, we have the well-known Monica Leigh.
I don't know about well-known, but I'm here.
Well-known on this show, and she's also one of the producers of the show. So
hey guys.
thank you for being here. We are both...
Thank you for having me.
And for anyone who's concerned, we're negative, like for COVID reasons.
Yeah, literally just tested. Totes negative. So
we are good. We're not those assholes. Speaking of assholes, today's segment that I wanted to try to do is there's something on Reddit. There's a group called Am I the Asshole? And we are going to go through a few different situations and kind of give our opinions. And you can think about for yourselves what you guys want for, what you guys are thinking yourselves as you're driving or listening, wherever you are, on the beach,
watching us.
Picking up trash. Who knows what you're doing, but we welcome it all.
Picking up trash. You're only saying that because we did that for your birthday.
And now that's out on the internet.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. You wanted to just help the planet a little. We just started with a parking lot and didn't really get very far. But that's okay. We did stuff. It's fine.
Before that turns into a tangent, because this is already going to be a long episode as it is, let's get right into it. I'm going to read the first story.
I'm so excited for these. I love these.
So, am I the asshole for showing... So this person is a 22-year-old male, and the roommate is a 23-year-old female. So am I the asshole for showing my roommate a security camera footage of her having sex in my room? So here's the situation. Before we judge.
This is amazing. It's already off to a great start.
I live with 3 roommates, and since I've had bad experiences with roommates before, I installed a security camera to get an alert if someone enters my room. One day, when we were all at work or school, one roommate and her boyfriend entered my room and had sex for whatever reason. My app alerted me and started recording automatically. When I got home, I confronted her about it, and she owned up to it, said they did it in a different room to spice things up, and said that it's not that big of a deal. She was, however, pretty angry at the fact that I had a security camera in my room and a video of her having sex, which I deleted, obviously. She said that recording her having sex is a bigger invasion of privacy than her having sex in my room. Am I the asshole in that situation?
Oh my God. I just have feelings, okay? Like, first of all, you are not the asshole in that situation. Somebody literally went into your personal space and had sex with all the fluids and everything in your bed. Yeah, just like they did that in your bed. And by the way, it's not against the law to have a security camera in your own bedroom. It would be against the law if like if he had somebody over and they were in the bedroom and he didn't tell them that there was a camera there and he's filming them. Totally against the law. If you're, but if it's on his private space, which that bedroom is, then he has every right to have a security camera there. And I am so glad he did, because then he caught these people after his former roommates obviously were terrible. I cannot believe that she did that. That's so like she thinks that that's an invasion of privacy, and she thinks it's no big deal to have sex in your roommate's bed. Are you kidding me? I would be mortified, and she would not be a roommate at that very moment. Like, the second I discover it, gone. I don't care what my financial situation is. That is horrendous.
See, I'm happy that we're definitely kind of on the same page with that, because
for this one
at least, growing up, and that's what's interesting about these, everyone perceives things differently. With this one, growing up, I had a couple instances. My bedroom was a hangout place. Usually for a kid it is. So I had a couple instances where something was stolen from my room. So I thought about having a security camera type thing in the room so that you could catch that type of stuff. So I don't blame him for having a security camera in his room. I think that's kind of smart. And I felt like she kind of, the whole invasion of privacy thing. Yeah. It's like, if it was only in that bedroom, then no.
I mean, if he's got cameras like in her room, in bathrooms, and anywhere where it's a community space or her space, then that's wrong and it's against the law.
Yeah.
Then it has something to do with voyeurism, and don't consider me a law student by any means. I just like know the brief a part of that law. I really
Disclaimer.
don't know. Yeah, like I really am not a person who studies this on a regular basis. Also, there's a really good movie with Angie Harmon about voyeurism. I don't remember the title, but it's really good. So it was on Lifetime a long time ago.
That sounds like
but
a
yeah,
Lifetime movie.
it was based on the woman that like started putting voyeurism into the law federally or something like
Okay.
that. I can't, because she was a victim of it, and it was really good.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
And I feel like too, there wouldn't, if she hadn't even entered that bedroom, there wouldn't even be the footage.
There wouldn't even be a conversation. Like it's just insanity. Like who in their right mind thinks, "Oh, I'm going to spice it up. Let me invade somebody's personal space." That shows such a lack of respect for the guy who had the bedroom and the camera set up in there. That shows a lack of respect just as a human being, as a roommate, on all of the above. And you're getting your gross body fluids
Ooh.
in that person's sheets. So now, if
Yeah.
that's me, I'm buying new sheets. Sorry, let me rephrase. I'm making her buy me new sheets before she leaves, and she's no longer a roommate. Oh, and she's also going to pay for deep cleaning for my room because who knows wherever they put their butt stuff. And I'm just, no.
I feel like this was 100% a Judge Judy episode.
Literally.
And she countersued.
Literally. She countersued and she lost. And I would love to hear Judge Judy hear this out in court because that'd be great.
But I think so I'm safely assuming we're saying he's not the asshole.
He is not the asshole. Survey says.
What do you say that
she's
the asshole?
100%.
Okay.
She's like more than an asshole. That's just like downright scumbag.
Do you want to read the next one?
Yes! I'm so excited. I love these. These are so much fun. Okay. Would I be the asshole if I had a secret impromptu wedding? We were just joking beforehand that I got all the fiance ones.
Ta-da.
With the ring on my finger. My fiance is a 32-year-old male, and I, a 31-year-old female, got engaged last February, but had to put all wedding planning on hold. We've been dating for 11 years, been talking about marriage forever, but we've only just started seriously planning for our wedding. The first thing we tried to figure out was our guest list. And honestly, if we wanted to avoid pissing anyone off about not being invited to the wedding, we would have to invite 150 plus people. My family alone is like 80 people. Girl, preach. The more we look into wedding planning, the more it seems like it's just so much work and so expensive. Everyone plans for their day, quote unquote, to be perfect, but truthfully, is it ever? We have been together for so long, I just want to be married. So I floated the idea of inviting our family and friends over for a dinner party or something in the fall or winter, whenever it's safe, and just getting married then. Oh, so this is like during COVID times too, huh?
Yes.
All right. So this was recent.
Yeah, these were all like no more than a week old.
Oh, wow.
From when we're recording, yeah.
My fiance is on board, but he thinks it will seriously piss off some people and is worried about possible fallout. Obviously, we would ensure that both sets of parents would be there, but the fact is that some people who are important to us or who might want to come to the wedding would not make it to a dinner party. Not all of our friends live close enough to us that they could come over for something that isn't as big as a wedding. I understand where he's coming from, but I think if there's someone so mad at us, if someone gets so mad at us, sorry, because they weren't at our wedding, that they cease to have a relationship with either one of us, that's on them. Interesting post.
So are they
So it's, would they be the asshole if they went through with this?
Personally, I don't think so, because it's tricky. I mean, I think I would say no, that they weren't the assholes, because it's their special day, I guess you could put in quotations, like it's no one else's, and I feel like they have the right to plan it however they want. Like, yeah, I can understand people being disappointed because they, want to go to a wedding for someone that they're close to, especially for family members or whatever, but at the same time, like everything that person was saying was also understandable when it came to like inviting all the people and this and that. And just weddings are fucking expensive. Not that I've been married, but I just know they're really expensive.
They are.
So I don't know. I feel like I could sympathize with the narrator more and say that they're not the asshole.
I actually am inclined to agree with you on this one as well, because I definitely can see both sides of it. I've been the person who hasn't been invited to something that, you know, I do care about and would like to be considered for.
Yeah.
But there are ways around that too. Like, for instance, if you have a very small wedding like that, where it's really intimate, you just want, you know, kind of whoever you can afford to have there. A lot of times with stuff like this, it really comes down to money. Other times it's people's personal preference. Some people really just want a small wedding, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's you and your spouse's special day, nobody else's. So I mean, you want to have at least the closest people in your immediate circle with you. Um, you know, if you were, let's say it was all your brothers and sisters and then your parents, and you don't invite one brother or something, you know, and let's say you're all close, like, yeah, then you're kind of the jerk if you invite everybody else and not that one brother. But for something like this, no, it's there are also ways around that too. You can always like send people a nice, who couldn't come, who you couldn't have, you can set aside a little bit of your budget to send them a nice photo of you two and say, I don't know, some sort of a card or something of like, thank you for always supporting us, or, you know, something like that, to where those people know that you thought of them and that, you know, things just couldn't work out. But nowadays, people need to be more understanding about this stuff, because it is so difficult to include every single person you want to
Yeah.
include. Like, I know for me personally, not to get into my stuff too much, but what I'm dealing with planning right now is really the same issue of, who do I cut off that guest list? And it's
It's
tough.
me, isn't it?
I didn't want to do this over camera.
Oh man. And I'm not going to edit it out either.
Oh no. No, you're definitely gonna be there. So you're gonna be there. He has like no option in the matter. There's no like, oh, I have a trip to like Australia that day. No, you will cancel that trip, boy. But
I'm going to start planning that now.
right. So yeah, so basically, no, they're not the a-holes. There are ways to just include kind of your close circle. And I also, in reality, you don't need to include anybody at all either, because I have somebody I know actually did a wedding, just her and her spouse. Like, they went destination wedding, just did her and her spouse, and literally that the priest, and like then they kind of like had their honeymoon right after and just stayed while they were there. So I mean, it, you know, people do it however they want. At the end of the day, it's your special day, it's nobody else's. So anybody that takes it on as theirs, that is a problem on them, not you. Sorry, not sorry.
And I think and it gets tricky too, because we know this is during COVID time.
Yeah.
So like that's another tricky thing about
Oh, God,
having
yeah.
so many people. You can't even really have big gatherings at the
Yeah.
moment. So that was just another thing I thought of that makes it where I think people should be more understanding in that case.
Right.
Because of that too. It's like, well, if I did invite 100 and something people, I'm kind of an asshole in that way.
Right. Then you're having like how they used to have chickenpox parties back in the day, when it was like one kid in the neighborhood got it, everybody brings their kids over to get it and get it over with. You know, then you're like having a COVID party, and it's like, so that's the other thing. People just need to be like not so sensitive to everything. But the end rant. Before we get into that tangent.
I'll go with the next one. Am I the asshole for taking my kids out to dinner with my boyfriend against my ex's wishes? So my ex-husband, who's a 35-year-old male, and I'm a 36-year-old female. My name is Frank. No, but anyway, have 3 daughters aged 8, 10, and 15.
Okay.
When we split up, we went the mediation route. I knew that if mediation was successful, we would all save a lot of money. So when he asked for us to agree to wait at least 6 months before introducing any new partner to our kids, I agreed without much further thought because I had bigger things on my mind at the time. 3 months ago, I started dating and met a man, 23-year-old male, who honestly understands me and the unspoken thoughts floating around in my head in a way very few people did. I think that meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
We became exclusive immediately and have taken vacations together where, unlike my ex-husband, I have found him exceptionally easy to live with. He also has similar aspirations and values to me and comes from a good family. We started talking about my kids, and he said he's totally open to meeting them. My ex-husband has split custody with me, but he got deployed again, is communicating with kids through Zoom. Let's see, next page. I figured that since I was once again the only parent my girls had, my ex-husband should be able to trust my judgment. So I set a date and told my girls that I have someone important to me I wanted to meet. We ended up going out to dinner in this outdoor restaurant by the beach. My boyfriend was very polite and engaging. Unfortunately, my youngest took an irrational dislike to him because she insisted on bringing our dog along, and the dog and my boyfriend really don't take to each other. It's a little random. My middle daughter said he was funny and seemed cool. My older daughter didn't say anything. I found out this morning through a series of angry messages from my ex that my older daughter told him about the dinner and said the guy was charming but seemed emotionally distant. So now my ex basically thinks my boyfriend is a sociopath because he likes jumping to conclusions. My ex said I broke our agreement, but I defended myself by saying during our court proceedings last year, he said he didn't expect to be far from home for a while, but here he was deployed again. Am I the asshole?
Yes, you are. I was very quick to that one. Yeah, you're the asshole because for one, like kudos to him for serving. I don't know what branch he's in or any of that. They didn't specify, but I mean, of course you're not going to necessarily expect a deployment. Deployments you can get notice at the drop of a hat, especially if you're active. Like it's not that easy to predict something like that, especially when you're in the middle of a divorce proceeding. Civilian life and military life are two very different things. So yeah, he probably couldn't predict that he was going to be gone. And that's not really a defense on her part because if this is somebody you want to bring around your kids and you share those kids with a parent who you no longer are in relationship with, yeah, you should be considerate to that person. Now, there's a couple of caveats to that. So like if your children's biological parent that you're no longer in relationship with is somebody that's like abusive or something like that, then yeah, you don't really need to get their 2 cents on, what you decide to do because it sounds like in that regard you're raising your children by yourself anyways. But if you have a parent who is being a co-parent and really like is doing what they need to do to fulfill their role in their children's lives and you make a deal with them that you're not going to have any new relationships of a romantic kind around those kids and not introduce them into anybody for 6 months, then yeah, you really should stick to that rule because it's really only fair. And it's showing respect for the other person as being their biological parent. She basically just disrespected him as a parent. It's not about that he's her ex. It's not about that they had a romantic relationship. She just disrespected him as a parent. And as the co-parent that she's working with, quote unquote, to raise these kids. And it sounds like the father is active, seeing as and I mean active in the children's lives, seeing as he's literally making sure to, Skype with them or whatever means they have of communication while he's deployed. So it's not like he's not trying to maintain that communication. And given how short this relationship was, like setting all that aside of how she totally just like stepped on this guy, she also really rushed into this and like I mean, you're sitting there, so you know this person for 3 months and you have kids that, they range in ages, and you have these kids and you're now exposing them to, you have this guy you're living with, you have because she mentioned something about living with the person too, right? About like easiest person to live with, way easier than my ex or something like that she was saying.
I
I
gotta
thought
double check that.
I thought she said something like that. But I mean, you're like it's this, and the age difference. It's a younger guy.
Yes, it's a much younger.
Much
Yeah, he's
much
younger
younger
than
guy,
us.
which I mean is fine. I have an age difference in my relationship that's significant compared to most. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, a 23-year-old guy, you have to factor that in, that one of her children is what, 8 years younger? Yeah, 8
Oh,
years
it's
younger.
so sorry. When she said the easy to live with is because they went on vacations. Because I was gonna say that,
Oh,
like, if
okay.
he never met the, I figure
Right.
she lives with the
Well,
girls.
that's what was confusing to me too. Okay. So, I mean, they go on vacations together. Okay, cool. You've gone away with the guy. Like, he may seem like he comes from the same family values and stuff as you, but you've only known him 3 months. You can't dictate that it's going to be this good and like that he's ready to meet your girls. I wouldn't be introducing somebody like that to my kids
Yeah.
at that early of a stage. I don't think that's appropriate. I mean, especially when these kids clearly had a few different reactions to what was going on. The oldest didn't even say anything, but then later said that he was emotionally distant and charming, which yeah, that would, if I'm the other, co-parent, I'm mortified for whoever's around my kids. Um, the younger one liked him, and then the middle one didn't, right?
Didn't
Because
or
of the
something.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the middle one just right off the bat didn't, which I mean, maybe it was more than just the dog. Like, you don't know, because clearly you're not really paying attention much to your kids' needs if you're forcing them into a situation where they're clearly having mixed reactions, so they're not ready for it.
Yeah, and no offense to this person, whoever wrote this on Reddit, we're just, keeping it honest here. Yeah, there was a lot of like of that extra kind of like biased information I sensed as I
Yeah.
was reading it. It
Yeah.
was very biased, and like the way that she pictured her ex, and I feel like because it's her ex, of course that's why she has that negative
Right.
bias
Right.
about him in a way, so I can kind of, that's what I sensed.
The other thing too, she's sitting there and she's saying all these things about like why this is okay, kind of excusing it in a way. But to me, every single thing she was saying in there was talking about herself and her needs and her wants. Her wanting this guy to be with her, to be involved in her kids' lives. Not much of this sounded like it was on the kids' benefit or the kids' behalf. And I'm sorry, if you have 3 kids and you're trying to introduce a new relationship, okay, cool. Take your time with it. Really be sure that this is a person you want to introduce your kids to,
Yeah.
because your kids don't need a swinging door with a potential step parent. They really don't need that. Yeah, no, this sounded like it was all about her. It sounded pretty selfish on her part, and I really do think like, yeah, you are the asshole in that situation.
I would have to agree on saying she's the asshole. I don't think the ex really did anything assholish, like,
Nope.
at all. Like, trying to like think about everything, I just think the way it was just kind of, yeah, like a biased story to me. And
Mhm.
I think, yeah, if you break that type of agreement, you shouldn't. It was a type of thing where it was like she agreed to something, like she even kind of admitted almost that like she didn't communicate well enough with the ex.
Yeah,
And
like,
so it's like, well, then yeah, you kind of are the asshole, like, or at least you made a mistake.
yeah.
And then, that's something, I guess if it was me, if I really felt as strongly as she did about this new guy and
Mhm.
wanting them to meet, it's like you have to try to reconnect with your ex-husband then that you made
Yes.
the agreement with.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny, you read my mind. I was just thinking, if she really wanted to break their agreement that they had and thought that this was really a good fit and a good reason to break the agreement, then she should have tried to reach out to the ex-husband, who probably could have just had like a Skype call or something with this new guy and really just like try to understand him, try to get to know him, and then decide, is this worth breaking our agreement? Or like, no, I want you to get to know him more. I want you to take more time with this. I really don't feel comfortable of breaking this agreement. We have it for a reason. But yeah, no, there's no reason to, when you have an agreement like that, there's no reason to break it unless you're being selfish.
I think, yeah, unfortunately, I think so many people, and maybe this is one of those situations too, where people just really like to rush certain things,
Yes.
especially in
Oh my
relationships.
god.
And yeah, you just don't, like, you could have wait, because maybe, yeah, even like, oh well, I couldn't like reach my ex-husband as quickly as I wanted to or something to
Right.
have the discussion. It's like, just be patient. Like,
Yeah.
go, like go with the flow with it.
Yeah.
3 months. It's just not a long.
And that's the thing. 3 months in, you're in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Like, you think it's good now. Okay, cool. You don't know the person fully till you live with them, and you can't really afford to take that risk when you have kids. It's a whole other ball game. So, I mean, when you have kids, you have to think of relationships differently, and it doesn't sound like she is. I mean, it sounds like I really don't know the story between her and her ex, but it sounds
Yeah.
like maybe she felt like suppressed in some way, and now she's trying to like be more about herself in ways that she wasn't before, but she's not balancing that with still being a mom and still catering to her kids' needs. I'm not thinking that she's like purposely bringing around a dangerous guy around her kids. I think she's looking out enough in that regard. But either way, if it's somebody that the kids aren't comfortable with, you have no business bringing them around the kids, no matter how you feel about them.
I agree. Do you want to? I would say we should move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a because this is the other one that's
This is
kind of
the
long. It's a
two-parter?
2-pager.
Okay,
So
so
you
I
just
swipe this
left.
way?
Yep.
Okay.
You reject them. No.
Okay, so am I the asshole for not considering my brother-in-law, in parentheses, my former school bully family? This is a big parentheses, very important. I, a 31-year-old female, currently have is that son-in-law?
Oh yeah, I forgot
Okay.
that. Yep, son-in-law.
Currently have a son-in-law, 31 female.
Or sorry, sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law. Sorry, I was like, what? Okay, sorry.
I have a son who's my age.
Yeah, I was like, Okay, I, 31-year-old female, currently have a sister-in-law, a 31-year-old female, who isn't speaking to me or any other members of my family because she is angry that I do not consider her husband, a 31-year-old male, family. Background. Future brother-in-law and I started school together in 6th grade. He and his best friend bullied me, in parentheses, and my friends relentlessly. During that year, I had the misfortune of having every class with them. Oh my God, this is like, I've been there. Like, not a fun time. So it was a constant occurrence. I would go home and cry most days, and going to school was misery. During high school, I only had one class with brother-in-law, so we had almost no contact and never spoke to each other those 4 years, and I thought after graduation I would never see him again. Oh, how wrong I was. Long story short, after high school, I met my brother, now, or met my husband, sorry, now a 30-year-old male who is the bully's younger brother. We started dating and we started dating and got engaged young. The brother-in-law, aka the bully, freaked out, told the husband he could do better than me, that he was going to ruin his life by marrying me, he was going to end up in divorce, etc. Fast forward 9 to 10 years, husband and I have master's degrees and are happily married with 2 kids, etc. After almost zero contact during the college years as we were in different states, the brother-in-law and his wife moved to our city while he is doing his medical residency. Not only that, they move in across the street because they like our type of house better than any of the other ones they look at. Family dinners with my parents-in-law and them become a regular thing. They end up having a kid, so now we do a cousin get-togethers, etc. The brother-in-law and I rarely ever directly speak to each other. We mostly just inhabit the same space and are cordial. No one ever brings up the past. After a disagreement with the brother-in-law's wife a couple months ago, she blew up and said it's like I don't even consider my brother-in-law family, and she thought I had gotten over my dislike of him. I told her I absolutely do not consider him family, and that's never been a secret. She hasn't spoken to me since, and it's causing contention with the parents in law who want us to be one big happy family. Oof, poor parents. This pretty much everyone thinks that the bullying was a long time ago, and I need to get over it, especially because he's family. I contend that I don't need to, and that being cordial to him is fine and the best it's going to get. Am I the asshole for still holding a grudge and not considering the brother-in-law family? Edit. Brother-in-law has never apologized for or addressed his bullying of me.
That was, I know I have to process. That was like a math equation. There was
That's
so much to that.
I feel like that GIF where like all the numbers are coming through, kind of like from The Hangover where he's counting cards and stuff.
Yeah, that.
Oh man,
Ew. There was a cricket in my throat. um, that wow,
Jiminy!
wow. I I mean, my first thought. Well, actually, honestly, with taking everything into consideration, if I had to choose if she was the asshole or not, I would probably say she wasn't, because just knowing, like, I mean, obviously so many of us out there have gone through bullying, and I'm trying, it's one of those situations I guess you have to put yourself in and think,
Yeah.
like, would you consider that person family or not, or like how would you handle that
Mhm.
situation? I know I probably would try to be as civil as possible, but at the same time it's like I think she has a right to feel the way that she does. And I
Mhm.
feel like this whole the sister-in-law or whatever, the way she reacted to it, I thought she was kind of an asshole a little bit, the
Yeah.
way how she just like blew up about it. And she has the right to her opinion, of
And it's
course.
also
And
her
it's her
husband.
husband. So I mean, I get it, I guess, like thinking, but at the same time, the narrator of this, I don't think she's I don't think I would say she's an asshole.
See, I'm in agreement with you that she's not an asshole, but I think just as a victim of bullying myself, I think she's doing herself a huge disservice because not once did she take a moment to confront him herself. Like he might not bring it up. I mean, he was the bully. You can't expect much from bullies. um
Well,
they should own up to their
yeah.
stuff, and this is in no way victim blaming what I'm doing here. My point is for her healing, for her processing through this. She's clearly, like she said, holding a grudge. I mean, for her to be able to feel that empowerment that the bullies take away from victims like her, I feel like she is not giving herself that opportunity to directly put it like, "You did this to me." Like, "You straight up did this to me. This is why it was wrong, and this is how it makes a person feel." And then kinda just, having her moment with that. I feel like she deserves that, and I feel like this is going to continue to weigh on her until she feels like she can take that moment and just kinda have that for herself. And so I feel bad that she's still holding on to this after all these years.
Yeah.
I don't blame her, but I definitely feel bad that she hasn't found what she wants to do for healing. Um, Now, as far as the whole situation, I mean, the bullying didn't stop in the school years. Like he clearly did it even after the fact. He told his brother all this bad stuff about her. Was like, "Oh, you'll end up in divorce,
It
this and
doesn't
that."
seem like he's changed that much over
No,
the
he
years.
seems like the same exact guy. I mean, for her to be cordial and that's the best it's going to get, like I don't see anything wrong with that. Like if she's not causing any drama, she's not causing any tension or anything like that. They're just kind of coexisting at family gatherings. That's fine. They don't have to be on crazy speaking terms. Like if they're I mean they have the kids that play together and stuff. So if they can make it work and be cordial and be civil for the kids' sake, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if somebody is fighting for more than that and people are telling her she needs to do more than that, that's not really their business. It's not their situation. They're not the ones going through it. The bully is definitely still being an asshole for not taking accountability for what he has done and for not acknowledging it and trying to, give her some sort of peace with it. That shows that he hasn't changed. And I get that his wife is trying to come to his defense, but she really she should be going for what's right, not just defending her husband just because he's her husband. She should be saying to her husband, "Look, you need to talk this out with her because you guys went through this all these years ago. Clearly it's still bothering her. You did wrong at least back in the day, if not still doing wrong now. You need to go talk to her and just work this out." Like she needs to be working with her husband for her husband to do the right thing. She should not be defending her husband doing the wrong thing. That's, I mean, just because that's her husband, it doesn't,
Yeah.
no. there's ways for her to be a supportive wife that don't always have to mean that she stands by somebody who does something wrong. So I definitely don't think that she's the asshole. I think that the whole situation is just mishandled on multiple ends, and I feel like everybody coming at her telling her, "Oh, just get over it." Like as if she's
That
the
doesn't help.
problem. That's victim blaming what they're doing. Like she's not the problem here. The problem is this guy bullied her for years, years and years and years, and is continuing to do so, or at least has, in recent however long. I wish there was a little bit more about what the conflict was with this sister in law, though, because I feel like that would give us more context into the whole dynamic in general.
Yeah.
So I feel like we are missing some context here, but overall I don't think she's the asshole. I think it's the people victim blaming her into saying just get over it. Like you wouldn't tell a victim of sexual assault to just get over it.
No, yeah.
You shouldn't do that with bullying either. No, there are ways to process and heal. You should never do that to somebody's trauma. It's clearly important to them. It clearly affects them every day. So you should be doing what you can to support healing.
Yeah,
That's my thought.
I do. Yeah, I think the main girl of this needs to try to definitely heal from this, just for her sake, like you said.
Yeah.
I do get a little curious though if the one that was bullying her, if he's even capable. And I'm wondering if
I don't know.
she's traumatized, because there are certain pieces missing of
Mhm.
the story. So it's like, I don't know how traumatized maybe she might be feeling, why she
Yeah.
hasn't confronted him necessarily. There's definitely certain pieces missing, but
Yeah. And her husband seem like they're really doing really well and really happy. So I wonder if she's struggling to confront him. The husband can too. I mean, that's now his wife. The husband can support her in confronting his brother. And I know he's the younger brother, so I'm sure if he was bullying kids at school, this is just a guess. He might have been bullying his brother at home or whatever. Who knows? I don't know the relationship between the brothers, but I mean, the woman who wrote this, her husband should also support her healing and should support her by sitting down with her and his brother and trying to help mediate a conversation to clear the air.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel
Yeah.
like the Blood family should, they normally feel more comfortable, especially in this situation, because she's not comfortable with the bully at all, with the
Right.
brother. So yeah, I think her husband definitely could maybe put a little more effort into trying to mend them. Be like, hey, bro, no pun intended. Like this is my this is my girlfriend, wife. I forgot.
Wife.
They were wife. Yeah, this is my wife. Like, I need you to not be an asshole
Yeah.
to her, and
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be an asshole to your wife.
Well, right, and that's the thing. I mean, as the older brother, which it said the bully was, if he's the older brother, then you also should be, I don't know, you're the older brother. There's a role that you play as the older sibling to where you should be helping the younger sibling and respecting your younger sibling. I mean, older or younger, whatever, that's your sibling. That's your brother. If you have a close relationship, if no major wrongdoings have been done on either side, then yeah, you should support them by saying, here, let me resolve things with your wife. Like, clearly we got into a fight. Let me fix that. It's a crappy situation, but this is one of those that's like so multifaceted. This isn't just a blatant, like, am I the asshole or not? This is like a bunch of people mishandling the situation.
I hope, yeah. I mean, I hope they figure, because all these were really recent too. So I hope they figure out this situation.
Definitely.
And maybe some professional therapy. I'd probably do family
Sounds
therapy
like
for
some
that.
family stuff needs to be dealt with.
Is it my turn to read next?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Disclaimer, by the way. Good luck to all the people in these posts.
Yes.
Like, especially because they're recent.
Am I the asshole for refusing to speak to people that have wronged me in the past? I remember.
I'm laughing because you and I have like dealt with this issue in our personal lives so much.
That's kind of why I mostly just read the titles on these. So that kind of was like, well, yeah, that could really go either way, depending. Before I even get into the actual post, that really is depending on the specific situation.
Very much.
So this is obviously, I'm assuming, a specific one. We'll see. Okay, it says, for context, I have often been told by close friends that I am at times forgiving to a fault. In the past several years, I've had 2 past partners attempt to reach out to me several times in multiple different ways. I've ignored every call, text, friend request, etc. Although I feel guilty for perhaps not giving them the only opportunity to say their piece, or as one friend put it, apologize. I just cannot bring myself to allow them back into my life. My most recent relationship, about 3 years ago, was especially tumultuous. Both physically and mentally abusive, I still sometimes have nightmares involving this person.
Wow.
Repetitive dreams where I drive away to escape, only to end up back where I started. If I sleep with a knife close by, it's because of this person.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I tell myself that this is what self preservation looks like. In the past, I've given too much of myself. I'd like to think that closing myself off completely from the ones that have hurt me is a love letter to myself. Not only long ago, I received a message from a friend of my last ex in which they explained that they had dreamt of me the night before and that they missed me and wanted to see me. I have not responded because I'm not sure how to tell this person that the thought of interacting with someone who is still in contact with my ex makes me extremely uncomfortable and emotional in ways that I can't begin to explain. It makes me sick to my stomach, but I feel bad for ignoring or rejecting this person. So, lovely people of Reddit, what are your thoughts? Am I the asshole for ignoring, blocking these people? Should I say something to my ex's friend?
I missed that. So the ex's friend reached out to
This
this
person,
writer,
apparently.
and even though there was no ill will between the person and the friend, they still didn't want to talk to the friend because the friend is still connected to the ex.
I think,
That
yeah,
is that, am I
I
understanding
think
that
it's a
right?
two-parter. I think
Okay.
it's like
Okay.
the exes and then
Okay.
that ex's friend
Okay.
because it kind of brings up that
So
traumatic.
wow, that was actually a lot darker, quote
Yeah,
unquote,
I
than I
didn't
thought it would
expect.
be.
Yeah.
As far as like I'm thinking, oh, they had a tiff or whatever before you read that.
I thought, yeah, it was
And
gonna be
then
more of a friend.
yeah, yeah. And then now we're talking about exes who, I mean, if you're sleeping with a knife in your bedroom, it sounds like there was abuse there and stuff. So this sounds very different from the average situation
Yeah,
like this.
that's why I'm kind of happy I said, yeah, it really
Yeah,
depends on the
yes.
specific situation because an argument with
100%.
someone, with an old friend, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
when, yeah, some sort of physical or sexual
Yeah.
abuse is involved, it's definitely
100%.
different.
So, even in general, you're under no obligations to talk to your exes. That's just kind of like it should be a known rule. You don't have to talk to them. For a long time I did talk to a good amount of my exes, but the ones that I kept in touch with, they were good people. We just didn't work as a couple, and a lot of them I just remained friends with afterwards. Like there was nothing tumultuous or nothing bad on either side. It just kind of we had the moment where we tried it out. Nah, it didn't work. All right. Like, and the exes I don't talk to, there's a reason behind that. But even if you're a person who you did not have actual conflict with that ex, you just don't want to talk to your ex anymore. Some people are like, no, I dated you and that's it. Like, there's nothing else there. Some people are very big on feeling like that. So you're under no obligation by any means. And given that these relationships sound they're hinting at like some abuse or something there, they sound really, as the thing says, tumultuous, then you're definitely not an asshole for keeping that out of your life. Yeah, that is self-preservation if you're keeping toxicity and negativity out of your life. You don't have to go out of your way to be mean to these people now or anything like that, but you have nothing to apologize for if you're trying to keep them out of your life for your own safety and sanity.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I pretty much agree with
Yeah.
everything that you said there. The ex's friend is
Oh, I forgot to
something.
say that.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say we still have. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. We've talked a lot, but it's okay. We still have more to go.
We like to
Uh,
talk.
that's the one that got trickier for me
Mm,
as reading it because yeah, like you said, no obligation to talk to your exes. You also don't have to be like going out of your way and being an asshole to them, which
hmm
this is also once again a different situation.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I probably, in my advice, it would be best to stay away
Yeah.
if those people, triggered her and hurt her that much. The
hmm
ex's friend, yeah, it's definitely a little gray. I can kind of relate to this. I actually, she's not a friend anymore, but she there was someone that became one of my best friends that was best friends with my ex, but I met her because of dating my ex.
Yes.
And that's really true. You know, that was something and that person, so long story short, that ex, why it ended, he had hit me in the face. So it was she had the friend had contacted me a year later, so it was like it was a little tricky because it was like, what do I do? You know, I think at the time I thought, well, I really liked that person.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think whatever he did, I was able to heal from.
Well, and
and
they
not
weren't talking anymore either.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think
okay.
they had stopped too. So that's another thing.
So it made it easier in that situation where you didn't have to make that choice with the ex still being possibly involved.
Yeah, and there's another person I could think of too that her and I have talked to that still that's still best friends with my ex. Yeah. And that person, and I guess because maybe that relationship there wasn't really abuse in it, it's not, for me, it's not difficult to talk to that person. I guess if I were to, I mean, it just, we don't know the full story of like everything that happened. Like I said, with my personal experience, the hit in the face or whatever, it was something that relationship ended up ending. That relationship was only like 2 weeks because it was like, bye, you know, like there wasn't enough time invested for me to love the person. Or,
which, by the way, feel free to try that again, especially when I'm here. And then there's Teddy here too, but you know. But yeah, no, I agree with you with the friend. I think that with the friend, it's kind of to each their own. If you had an abusive relationship and you're really concerned that, you know, that friend that you might not have any issues with is still connected to your abuser, you have no obligation to talk to that friend either. It's whatever your comfort zone is in that situation. I don't think that there's anything wrong with keeping everybody out, every part of that person, that abuser's world. I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping that out of your life and out of your world.
And if you do decide like, okay, I'll talk to the ex's friend, then maybe I would probably like set certain rules, like that ex cannot be mentioned in our conversations, because that's something that I don't know if that's something that would maybe be pushed, or if the ex's friend would be dumb enough to be like, hey, let's all hang out in a group setting. It's like,
or I mean, there's also a discomfort too if it's an abuser and there's a friend of theirs reaching out to you. A couple things with that. For one, that friend is friends with your abuser. What does that say about that friend? That they have awareness of abuse happening in the relationship and they're still friends with the person who was abusing the other person. So the other thing is, how do you ever feel completely comfortable that information that you share with this friend is not going to be shared with your abuser?
True,
so
that's a good point.
So I don't feel like there's any reason for them to be talking if she's not comfortable with it. I think that she's totally doing the right thing and not at all is not at all an asshole. I mean, it sounds like she was too forgiving, but this time in this scenario, it sounds like she's not. It sounds like she's not being too forgiving and she's not being too of any of the extremes. It sounds like she's handling it appropriately.
Yeah, I would say not the asshole for this one.
Right. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole? My long-term boyfriend is complacent, won't take next steps. Okay. My partner is a male 55 years old and I am a female 45 years old. We have been dating for 7 years. Yes, dating. We don't live together. We're not engaged. And my patience is wearing thin. I don't think they spelled wearing right, but all right. Don't don't get me wrong. I genuinely love this man, but he will not commit to live together. He talks about it, but does nothing to make it happen. Same for engagement and marriage. Anything that means he needs to step up or plan/take action. I'm very fortunate. I have a successful career, a wonderful 13-year-old child, and a great life for the most part. But my family life, the day-to-day, is what I want most. All of us together. Instead, it's me and my child and him when he comes over to visit. which is every evening. There is no one else. That's not the issue. It's like he is so comfortable that making an effort to get our own place together is just too much effort required. I'm financially independent. It's not a cost issue. It's got to the point where I am now no longer willing to wait for him. I have to move to a new place. I've told him it's now or never. He has stated I'm impatient. 7 years. Dot dot dot. At our age, why wait? I'm so frustrated. He now refuses to speak to me because I've laid it on the line. Move in together now or get off the pot and don't waste any more of my time. Am I the asshole? Oh, I love this one.
I
This
know
is
you're
good.
gonna definitely have things to
Oh, I
say
have opinions.
about that. See, I don't really have a bias in that situation because I haven't really, I haven't gotten there yet. Got to keep traveling bases, I don't think that person's the asshole, the narrator. I don't really think, I don't want to say her partner's necessarily an asshole either in a way. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say he's like a bad guy asshole type, but at the same time, I don't think she's wrong with wanting to, go to that next step. I mean, they are definitely, I guess, regardless of the age too. I mean, but they are 45 and 55.
Mhm.
So it's like, damn, like, yeah, they're definitely should definitely be the next step. I mean, 7 years is quite, I guess everyone has different timelines. I don't know if her partner, I don't know if he realizes like maybe they don't have like years and years and years to share with
Mhm.
each other, and maybe that's why he's kind of like going with the flow, or if it's like some other
Mhm.
reason that maybe she doesn't know about. But I think, yeah, I think personally it's at that point where it's like you do the next step, or maybe you have to end things, unfortunately.
Mhm. So, okay, a little bit of benefit of the doubt for this situation
Okay.
is if she never expressed her timeline to him and he never expressed his to her, then there's a communication issue that started this in the first place that should have been addressed. So, if they were dating for, let's say, the first year, and she never said anything like, okay, next few years, I want A, B, and C to happen. These are my goals. And I would like for these things to happen with you. Where do you stand? Have that open communication. If that has not happened, then there's a little bit of fault on both sides here. But I mean, looking at this situation just for what we read about, he's in a position of why does he need to buy the cow when he gets the milk for free? Because he gets everything he wants. He gets to be his own guy, be alone, live the quote unquote single life, but still has somebody on the side who he can go see her every time he wants to and comes home every time he wants to. Very big emphasis on he wants. So she is only getting part of her needs met, not getting them all met, but she's also allowing him to have things his way. So it's a good thing that she finally put her foot down. I think she should have done it much sooner than these 7 years. She's not being impatient. She clearly has, there has been some conversations about moving in together and about a new place and about marriage and about engagement. There have been some conversations clearly, because she is saying that they have talked about this numerous times and that he's talked about it, blah, blah, blah. He's saying he wants it, he's saying he wants it, he's saying he wants it, nothing happens. So I mean, human beings in general, if they want something, they'll make it happen if they want it bad enough.
Yeah.
So, and in relationships, the same rules apply. If you want something, you're going to make it happen. Um, if you want it bad enough. And if you're like wishy-washy about it, you're going to drag your feet. You're not really going to be doing much about it. So that kind of, I mean, she has her answer. She has had her answer for a little while. If this is now 7 years and she's been talking about this for who knows how long. And he's done nothing to show her that he's going to, engage in all of these goals with her. So she's had her answer. And the fact that he's not speaking to her now, that still is her having her answer.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
forgot about that part. I
Yeah.
was reading it back just to see if she mentioned if they had any
Yeah.
communication, because that's like that would be a really important piece, and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think there was any mention. of that, because
I don't think so.
sometimes you have those situations where you are telling your
Mhm.
partner for year after year after year, and they're just not getting it, or they're just like,
Yep.
oh, whatever.
Yeah,
So
literally. And it's sad. I feel bad for her that, 7 years of being with this person, and then he shows his true colors of, like, but I had it the way I wanted, when he's telling her to her face that he wants something different. Now that she's put that line there and has said, look, for my own sanity, for my own health, because I have my own goals as a human being, and because I have goals in our relationship that I'm trying to meet, I can't meet them if you're not going to do your part and meet them with me. So I need to put a line here and say, look, it's either this or not this, because the relationship that you're having with me right now is not the kind I want. So there's nothing wrong with what she's doing. If that's the kind of relationship that he wants, then he needs to be upfront about that that's what he wants.
I think that's what's most important, is you have to
Yeah.
be on the same page.
Yeah,
Like, they have to
100%.
both want the same thing.
Yeah.
So if they're never going to be able to have that compromise
Yeah.
where they're both 100% yay, let's do this, then
Yeah,
like
then
you said, she has her answer.
she does. She has her answer, and it's just sad that 7 years of her doing her thing have now turned into this, because she is 45, he is 55. It's a lot, but I mean, that's how you live and learn. But yeah, she has her answer from him. If he wanted something different, the second she put that on the line, he would have made it happen, if that's what he truly wanted. Which still would have been annoying that she would have had to go through all that to get him to make it happen. But so I'm not surprised that's what he did.
This is one of the, before we move to the next one, this is one of those ones where I really want the update. Like, what happened
I
on
know,
all these
right?
situations. That'd be interesting. I'm going to have to see if I can research that.
Yeah,
if they end up reposting
there needs to
again.
be, like, kind of like how they do, like, MTV's True Life updates or something. There needs to be a Reddit, am I the asshole True Life? Or am I the asshole updates, not True Life.
This is real life.
This is real life. Oh my god.
So, this one, I saw the title and I had to, I was like, I gotta read more into this.
Wait, is it me reading or you reading?
Me reading. Because you just read that one. You read the complacent one.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I did. You're right. I forgot.
But I think we have at least two more. There was technically three. I don't know, because the third one's kind of long too.
I mean, we'll see.
So we'll see,
where we
because
go.
we have a lot of time already down on this. So
much.
if you guys are still listening, thanks.
Thanks for putting up with us and Teddy.
So, am I the asshole for stealing a Facebook friend's cat?
Oh my god!
There's a whole story, though. I'm really curious.
How do you...
Because I'm really curious to see where this might go.
You're stealing somebody else's pet, so automatically biases are happening, and there was a hair in my face again. I'm like swatting.
So, to be honest, I've asked for a lot of opinions on this, and everyone has told me that I'm not the asshole, but I decided to come to the sub of Reckoning to weigh in. They'll probably find this post because they give me Reddit vibes, but like the cringe role-playing kind, so who knows. Anyway, in late August, a Facebook friend whose partner I actually have had beef with and was under the impression didn't like me posted about how their cats were in a terrible environment and needed a new place to stay. I live in an apartment and I've recently taken in a stray kitten I have found and already have a dog, but I love being Captain Save-A-Ho. So I
love this person already.
So I messaged the friend and said I could temporarily take the cats in, but for only 2 weeks until they found something better, because my boyfriend is allergic to cats. And at the same...
But
and
he just took a kitten.
Well, I guess that's why they said only for 2 weeks, like a temporary maybe. I don't know. And at the time, money was tight. Yeah.
All right.
At that time, one of the cats had an eye infection, which when dropping the cats off, the owner said was sure it would probably pass, and later mentioned he would take them to the vet soon. We asked, why can't you watch the cats? And they said because they live in an apartment. They brought a big bag of food and a bag of litter and left.
A bag of weed, everything's better with a bag of weed.
I'd like to say here, and I'm saying it to defend myself, that the cats were not eating this food. They didn't eat for days until I got wet cat food. After messaging the owners and letting them know this, they said that yes, sometimes they will gag on their food. If you yell at them, they will swallow it though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, what the F? I messaged them a few times to ask for money for litter and food, which they did 2 or 3 times, but I realized if I didn't message them, they wouldn't contact me at all. Even though
Oh
I
my
know
god.
where they live and it's literally 4 minutes away, they said, sorry, I lost my, even though I know where they live and it's literally 4 minutes away, and they said they were so excited about it so they could visit. In October, I thought I was going to lose my home, so I sent them a voice message explaining I couldn't take care of them and it's time to pick the cats up. They did not respond until November and only said, "Oh my god, wow, I'm so sorry I didn't see this." No follow-up. So there was no correspondence or updates, and money
Oh my
had
god.
picked up, so buying toys and food and litter was not a big deal. The cats were dropped off on August 31st. About a week ago, they reached out. So this is like February, January. About a week ago, they reached out and said they're ready to get the cats now. I didn't respond. Then their friends started reaching out to me, asking me if I sold the cats or gave them away. Some of them I answered with a vague no and no follow up. Now one of the partners is commenting on my public post asking me about the cats. I don't know how long they had kept them from kittens or not. These are sweet boys. I came around. I care about them, even if they tore up my belongings. It seems to me they're happy, but I look at the owner's page and they have pics of the cats up, and I don't know how to feel. Am I caring too much about making a point? Did I straight up just jack their cats? Should I have kept updating them anyways? Am I the asshole?
That's a really complicated one.
Yeah, I got honestly a little confused at certain
That's
parts.
that's a really
It was a lot
complicated
to
one.
unpack.
So the whole situation didn't go down properly, first
No.
off. They should have had more communication on what this entailed, how long they were expected to keep the cat for, what the communication was, what the expectations were of the actual owners of the cats, and what the expectation was of the person who was taking them, the person who wrote this post. So they kind of are an asshole for, like, yeah, like, you're literally stealing somebody else's pet, but they kind of aren't, because those cat owners clearly, if you yell at them, they'll eat. That's abuse.
Yeah,
You're
that
abusing your animals, and you're not taking care of their eye infections. You're not, like, none of this. If these were things that you called animal services about, I feel like something would be done through animal services anyways. Like, I know they typically give warnings and stuff. If somebody doesn't have a history, they'll be like, okay, you have until this time to get your cat's eye infection dealt with. You have until this time to make changes, whatever, um and then if they continue to neglect their animals, then they would be taken away. So I feel like he just kind of, like, skipped a few steps there and, like,
yeah.
just took the animals away. But so, like, I feel like there's some legal stuff in here. I'm going to assume that legally he can't keep the cats if they have, like, if these owners have paperwork documenting saying that they're
Yeah.
owners. But at the same time, I feel like this is also a little bit of an Airbud situation. You remember that movie?
Yeah, I love that
So,
movie.
right. So the owner's not taking care of the animal, and in this case cats, and is, like, abusing them or neglecting them, one of the two or both. And the new owner is, like, trying to take care of it, this and that. So I feel like this is one of those ones that would end up going to court and would be decided based off of the person not adhering, or these people not adhering to being actual owners of these cats, not adhering to the cat's needs, not taking care of them. And then now this new person is buying things for them, is, has presented them with a lifestyle that is appropriate for these two cats. So I feel like it's just a real complicated situation, but I feel like this is one of those ones where they're kind of, the whole situation was just mishandled, and somewhere in the middle these poor cats are just, like, bouncing around and not able to have definitive stability when they don't know who their rightful owner is at this point. Um so I feel like this is one of those ones that needs to be settled via the legal system.
Yeah, I agree. So would you say the person's an asshole or not an asshole? Or are you like,
I,
or is it hard to choose?
it's hard to choose, because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they saved an animal from abuse, or two animals from abuse. But at the same time, they still stole somebody else's animals, which I never really condone. So it's a really difficult situation for me because I feel like they are kind of an asshole, but not as big of an asshole as somebody who is sitting there watching a sick animal and not taking care of it. Somebody who is sitting there watching animals struggle to eat and gag on their food, and you're yelling at them to suck it down. Like, really? You wouldn't tell a baby to do that, and if you did, you would have some serious things to answer to, and you would have some legal issues in your way.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking, like, it's wrong the way they treated these two cats, but it's not right that this person who wrote this post doesn't have clear definitive ownership at this point, and is just kind of like making this up as they go along. They need to pursue ownership through, the court system or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Yeah, to identify this one, yeah, it's hard for me to choose. I'm also really curious. I definitely be curious to hear this other person's side
Yeah.
of the story
Yeah.
because it definitely makes me curious.
Sounds like we're getting one side because it part of it could be a matter of opinion with these things they're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah.
but that's one thing I worry about. But then at the same time, it's really, yeah, it's tough because it's like, because I feel like you have to put yourself in the shoes of this person, but then you also have to put yourself in the shoes of the original owner.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets tough for me
Yeah.
because it's like,
Well, and they also could be saying anything to make these original owners look bad too. I mean, we
yeah,
don't know what they're we don't know that for sure
yeah.
or not for sure. We just, there's so many ways that this situation could actually be going down that we don't know.
I feel like I could believe like them buying the stuff and the communication, how it just kind
Yeah.
of went dead silence. And then for
Yeah.
them to kind of just come out of, I think what really struck with me was that the original owner, because now that I think about it, like for them to wait so long
Yeah.
to contact again, that's what kind of set me as like, okay, like you're an asshole for not like fighting harder to try to get your cats back. Like that's
Oh
what's
God,
kind of
yeah.
weird. It's like you almost just gave up on them
Yeah.
for a little bit because someone else was spoiling them.
Yeah.
And now that they had like they paid for certain things to be done, it's like, oh yeah, now I'll take them back
Right.
and avoid that cost. And
It's
that's not right.
No, it's not right either. It's like, "Oh yeah, you healed my cat. Like now I'll take it back now that you spent the money on it."
Yeah.
No, that's not really cool either. I mean, let's be real. This is Teddy, as you guys have seen him in previous episodes. If anyone ever was watching him for a temporary amount of time for any reason, you bet your butt the second that I am able to take him back, and there would be like, I'd be on it. I would be all over that, and
Yeah.
he
I'd
would.
be reaching out a
Yeah,
good
oh
amount
god.
too.
And also, not only that, but I would have some sort of an arrangement with that person ahead of time of what it was
Yeah.
gonna look like to be taking care of Teddy and this and that. And I would also be saying, if it let's say I was in a really big financial place, like, I'm like, I can't afford to, to keep providing, and I really need to get back on my feet, this and that. Can this person watch Teddy in this case while I get myself back to where I need to be? Um, Even if it were that scenario, I still would be having that person add up all the money they spend on Teddy in the meantime. And obviously, it would need to be reasonable stuff. Like if they're going out of their way to buy him toys he doesn't need or something like that. That's like we would discuss what I would be paying them back. But I would make sure to tally it up and save up the money and get that money, do a payment plan with that person and get that money back to them
Yeah.
for stepping in when I couldn't and taking care of him. That's just what you do as a responsible owner. Like if you can't make it happen, but you take help from somebody else, you make sure that you pay that other person back, especially so that you avoid situations like this where that other person now takes your animal.
And yeah, a situation I just thought of in our personal lives. It's not the exact same thing, but like I've done a lot of dog sitting and
Yeah, me too.
watching your sister's dogs
Yep.
for like the weekends or whatever.
He's literally been with a pack of dogs because it'll be mine, my sister's, his, and they're all just like chilling there. They get along really well together. It's really cute.
But I remember when like for just in case there was an emergency, she never expected me to cover
Mm-mm.
costs.
Nope.
So that's like, and that's why I think all that stuck with me.
Yeah.
with the original owner. It's like
Right.
you're the owner, like
Yeah.
you're supposed to be the owner,
Yeah.
like you're supposed to cover if your name is on all the paperwork for the pet, like you
Yep.
should be covering those costs.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's always agreements ahead of time. Like every time that he's done that, we've always made sure, like, even for him to try and help him out, and we've been like, here, get some food on these days. We've left food for him or whatever. Like, it's never there's never been anything to where we didn't take into consideration his position and what he was doing for us, and for our animals, to make sure that they stayed safe while we did, whatever. Usually it was going on a trip where we would be out of the country. So it's really like, if somebody's willing to do that for your pet, you really need to compensate them for stepping in and doing something that you're unable to do for any reason, good or bad. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot wrong with that whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's go. I think we have a little bit more time for one more of you
One
read.
more.
And then we'll
Okay.
close out.
This is the one I'm reading?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, I just read the title.
That's all I read.
Am I the asshole for not letting a lesbian friend attend a boys' night out gathering? Oh my god. All right. Here we go. LGBT stuff. Okay. This one's gonna have like controversy, I feel like, no matter what we say for the answer. All right. This happened a couple of years ago. I used to host a monthly boys' night out. Just us guys. Any and all men were welcome as long as they were connected to a core friendship circle. It wasn't all guns and bourbon with a side of testosterone. This is amazing. Usually our gatherings were low key. We typically go grab dinner, find a place to hang out over some adult beverages, and just rub elbows for a while. Just rub elbows for a while.
Is that what
I
straight
feel
men do?
like, is that how that works? Maybe grab a cigar or something. One day, a lesbian friend says, "Can I come to your next boys' night?" I thought about it for a second and tried to understand why she wanted to go. She said she wanted to try to feel like what it was to be one of the guys. For what it's worth, she was also happily married to a wonderful woman at the time. I tried to gently tell her, for a woman who struggled with her own identity as a lesbian, that I was puzzled why she'd want to be regarded as one of the guys, even temporarily. She shrugged, and I informed her I'd have to ask the guys. The guys were concerned that even if they welcomed her once, that she was the kind of person who would then invite herself to the next one, and the next one, and the next day, the next day. The upshot of all that was she doesn't have a penis, and therefore the answer is, I'm sorry, but no. She was very upset by this and seemed to hold it against me for quite some time until we simply stopped hanging out, which happened to coincide with the disintegration of her marriage and general alienation of me of or general alienation of all her friends. Parentheses, yes, she remains a lesbian in another a lesbian relationship. I suppose I could have just included her, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. Still, sometimes I wonder if I was the asshole in this situation. Interesting.
I mean, my original thought, I feel like, because if this person, I don't know, did he like, is he the one that coordinates the group? I don't remember. Or is it like a team, or it's just kind of like a group
It sounds
consensus?
like it's just kind of like a group thing that he's
because I don't know if he's the one
involved in.
organizing. Yeah. Maybe it's like a team type. Like, yeah, they all. Initially, I pretty much was just thinking that, in my opinion, he wasn't the asshole, only because you have a right to choose who you hang out with at the end of the day, as shitty as that sounds for certain people. I think if the individual was a trans man, it would be a little different, because then in the way they would maybe be, I feel like then they would maybe be attacking that person's character, almost saying like, you're not really a man. As like a lesbian woman, it's different.
It's tough. It's tough because I have certain friends of mine who are who identify as lesbians, but they're, extremely manly in the things that they do and the way they live their lifestyle. They just have different body parts, and absolutely nothing wrong with however you decide to have your identity and be who you are. But it's definitely a complicated situation because I could see where she would want to be included and be treated that way. But he mentioned very important point that I'm glad he mentioned was that she was struggling with her identity. So it sounded like she was kind of using being invited to this as an experiment to see where she falls into place, which I don't really think is right. To
Yeah.
try and like use your friends for that or a group of people for that. Or it sounds like she really only knew this one guy, and might not have known the rest of the guys, but wanted to see like, oh, can I do this? Can I hang with that? I feel like that's not really fair of her to ask for that reason. And I feel like I don't really feel like he's an asshole, but I appreciate that he questions it because of the fact of that means he's trying to treat the situation with the appropriate respect in regards to her LGBTQ status and is not trying to offend her identity and who she is. But it sounds like she was confused in herself of who she was and what her role was based off of what he wrote.
Yeah.
So, because he mentioned something like, why would somebody who's identity having an identity confusion or something like that? Why would somebody who's not certain in their identity want to go to a boys' night or something? I mean,
Well, because she's married, right?
yeah, she was married to a woman at the time.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, she ended up not being with that woman anymore, getting a divorce, and now in a new relationship with another different woman. And, they don't have the same friend circle or anything. So,
So that kind of makes me
yeah,
wonder too. Like,
I
yeah, were
feel
you
like
like maybe on the prowl? Like,
there's more to the story. I feel like there's definitely parts that we're not getting, and we're also not getting her side of things either.
yeah.
Um,
I can
I
understand why she would ask,
yeah,
and I can understand or at least appreciate that he at least thought about it and wasn't
yeah,
just immediately like, no, woomph.
right. That's from a joke from another video. So I feel like I don't really understand why she asked. Because of
Okay.
what he said about her identity stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like we don't know why she asked because we don't know her side of it. And I'm not saying she shouldn't have asked or anything like that, but and I get it. People are allowed to have it's not like he's running a business and he's like, okay, if you have a vagina, you're excluded. It's he's hanging out with some guy friends. They're deciding to have their own group for whatever reason. They want it to just strictly be guys. Okay. Um Now the flip side of this is, okay, what type of guys are they allowing? Like this woman might be somebody who shares the same interests as these guys, okay? Might be somebody who is more masculine in what they do and in their lifestyle, which is could be part of why she asked. I don't know. But so then would that go to say that if there was a guy with a penis, as they said in the article, um if he was a guy but was very feminine and didn't share all the same interests, would he still be allowed to go to this all guys night out
Uh,
thing? That's the
True.
other thing I have to
Yeah.
think
I didn't
about
think of that. Yeah.
is, okay, who else are they excluding, or are they being just really strict about that rule of, if you're a guy with a dick you can come. I It's such a this is
Yeah, because
such a difficult one.
if they are excluding like maybe a gay man or a more effeminate type
Right.
man or something, then yeah, then you kind of start wondering,
Yeah,
okay,
then you wonder, is it
maybe
an
maybe
LGBTQ
they're
thing
more
or is it,
negative,
yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's so difficult. And it's also, here's the thing. It's not just him that made the decision. He actually did bring it back to the group of guys that are involved in this, and then he said, what do we all think? So it was not just him being like, no, like you can't. It was all right, let's consider this with our inner circle, which if you go out with a bunch of friends, okay, this is the other thing of this. If you go out with a bunch of friends and you guys decide who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, um, you know, then maybe that's just who you want there, and you're kind of allowed to do that. You're allowed to have whoever you want at certain hangouts and stuff like that. So it's hard for me to say completely that they're assholes,
I
especially because we don't know the whole situation.
Well, I think to kind of argue it back too, to kind of defend her in a way,
Mm,
I feel like maybe he also assumed a little that she would want to keep hanging out with them, and they didn't even
yeah,
give her a chance at all.
yeah,
Like they could have gave her the one practice round,
yeah,
and then if it went awful, then it's like,
yeah.
okay, girl, like no, we can't do this again.
I also feel like I just get the sense of at least he was under the impression that she was using this as an experiment, which I
Yeah,
really just think is not cool. Like, you don't really do that to your friends. You shouldn't do that to your friends,
yeah.
especially not without being upfront about it. Like, if you're sitting there just saying, "Oh, I just want to go like hang with the guys, whatever," and you're not disclaiming, I just want to see how I feel. I just want to try it out. Like, do you guys mind if I do that for a night with all of you or whatever? Like, she's not giving any disclaimers here if she's trying to use this as an experiment. And I feel like she should, if this is something that they do on a regular basis and she's trying to insert herself in it. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a disclaimer of like, what are your expectations with coming, you know? Um so I don't know. The situation is just really complicated. This is one of those ones I can't say that he's an asshole or not because I feel like we don't have all the facts. I feel like we don't have all the information.
Which yeah, which you're probably right. If I had to choose one, I would say he's not. That's what I would probably go with if I had to choose one because of everything we discussed. But that's with the story as it is.
Yeah. This is one of those like innocent until proven guilty things and we have not enough proof either way. He doesn't seem totally innocent to me, but he also doesn't seem totally guilty to me either.
But yeah, so we can wrap it up there with that. I
Please make sure you do that.
I hope you guys had fun listening or watching this episode. I know I had some fun with
I had
that.
fun. I always have fun with you.
Those were
And we're
interesting. Yes.
also, for those watching, you get to see.
I was gonna mention.
Okay, go ahead and mention.
Well, go ahead now.
All right. I'm wearing this is the old style merch because this is the one I bought and it's really comfy still.
This is the new merch,
yes.
Which we're a little bit farther
They both
away
say
now.
"Let me be Frank." Mine's just the different logo. This is the old one. This is the new one, so you guys can see. If you buy the merch now, you're gonna get this.
Yes, you can go. That merch link will be in the description below. This is the part where I start thanking everyone, and one of those thank yous is you. Usually I say my producer, Monica Leigh.
Thank you.
So I want to just take a quick second, minute, whatever time. I just want to take a quick moment. There's going to be, I meant to tell you this off camera, but there's, I was interviewed not too long. Well, I've done a couple interviews, but one that I did really recently, it was talking, they had asked me if there's someone that I would want to shout out, and I'm going to kind of try to say what I said in that interview. And
wait, is that interview still coming out?
yes, yeah,
that's the one that you hyped up the other day that you were saying is coming. Okay,
that's one of the one. Yeah,
cool.
I was interviewed about the podcast, and I want to take this moment to just really say that I really appreciate you and everything that you've done in my life. I talked about how you weren't just here as a producer for this show, but you have been there for me physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. And that just means the world to me. And that's another reason I wanted to have you on the finale.
Well, I really appreciate that. But you know that you've done all of those same things for me. Like, anything I've done for you, it's either something you have done or something you would do if the roles were reversed. So I have had no issues doing it. I mean, look at all the times where you've done something out of your way for me. And the things that you've been there for me through, both physically and mentally and all that stuff. So this is just what we do. we're
And
stuck with each other.
I was letting you not to have to put that on record, because you could have done what past friends did to me. You never had admitted that. Then when we got into a fight, you say I'm a terrible friend. So I was letting you have that opportunity.
But
there's proof.
Now there's proof.
You can't go back now.
There is proof. I cannot hold it against him anymore. I've relinquished the opportunity. But no, I mean, Teddy and I love you dearly, and we are happy to support what you're doing. And we always appreciate being on the podcast. Right, Teddy?
And I do want to thank the sponsors that have been in this. I want to thank John Moon, who does the intro and outro music for season 3. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching and listening and supporting and sharing the podcast. It'd be great if you guys can share this with people that you think might enjoy the show. And yeah, I want to say it's unofficial but official, I don't know which one yet, that the new season should start April 3rd.
April 3rd.
So
that means,
and we will see what happens, any changes or any of that good stuff. But I do want to thank but I do want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. It just means a lot to me. This is something that I never thought would be a big part of my life like it is today. So
it really is so interesting. Like, if you've known Frank as long as I have, which has now been quite some time, like, what was it, 12 years or something?
At least,
it's been some years. So if you've known him since as long as I have, you would be able to understand how big this is for him, and how this is really him taking initiative and basically working his butt off at something he's really truly passionate about. I've seen him do things he's not passionate about and bust his ass, and now to see him put all of that into something he's passionate about and really do everything he can to make this happen and to make it right and to make it good for you as the audience, this is really big for him. So I appreciate that all of you guys continue to watch and continue to support him, and I'm glad that you guys take away from his content, because I know I do. So yeah,
well, thank you. And yeah, so we're going to wrap that up for that. I hope you guys have a super special, awesome day and month while I'm gone. I hope you guys have a good life, and bye.